everybody, welcome back to Traditions Homestead. Well, this will hopefully be the final video of the year that we're doing for you guys in front of the wood stove. I'm hoping anyway, because I'll be honest with you guys, I am sick of the cold.
Well, I'm definitely ready for spring and everything that comes with that. But today is a miserable day outside. It's not super cold, but it's damp and we actually had a little bit of, just a brief bit of snow.
Right.
A little bit of sleet, but it's just kind of windy and chilly. And so we decided to film a video inside today for you guys.
Right. We're hoping that the weather will really get better in the next day or two, because the farmer's market starts in just 2 days, and it's actually looking like a gorgeous weekend though.
That's an exciting time of year for us. We get to bring out our plant starts and sell them, but we also have an opportunity to talk with a bunch of really fantastic people. It's an opportunity for you all to come and visit with us, and it's just a good time. We meet at the Ava, Missouri Farmers Market in the square on Saturdays from 8 to noon. The farmers market runs from April to October, every Saturday in those months, and Kevin and I plan to be there during the Saturday farmers markets in April and May.
Or until whenever our plant starts to run out. Right. So we'll be there at least hopefully for those 2 months. But that's not why we're here today. Today we're here on a different subject altogether.
We have put together 20 questions that you all have been asking us, and we're going to do another lightning round of answering your questions.
We did this about a month ago. We had a good time doing it. I think a lot of you enjoyed it. And so we're going to do the same thing today. We picked 20 questions from videos that you guys submitted, a while back. We've cut out the 20 questions and put them in a bowl. And we're just going to pick them one at a time. We don't know who's going to get what questions. And we're just going to try to get through 20 questions as quickly as we can for you guys.
So let's get started. Will you be moving your other 2 greenhouses to the farm? Now, several months ago, we announced that we will be transitioning everything, all the animals, and we'll be moving down to our farm property from our homestead. And this question is talking about the 2 greenhouses that we have here at the homestead, whether we'll be moving them to the farm. The answer is no, we won't be moving them to the farm. We plan on leaving them here, and the next person that owns our place will be able to enjoy them.
Do you sell your rabbits that are cleaned to eat? No, we no longer sell rabbit meat. We only sell live rabbits. We used to sell rabbit meat, and it is legal to sell rabbit meat here in Missouri. They fall under the poultry processing exemption, so you can process them on the farm and sell the meat off your farm or even at the farmer's market. But for a number of reasons, we've just stopped doing that. We enjoy selling them live more than we enjoy selling them as a butchered product.
What is the difference between IPP pigs, or Idaho pasture pigs, and coonies?
Do you want me to answer that one?
Yeah.
So the IPPs, let's talk about those first. That's what we raise, Idaho pasture pigs. They are a fairly new breed of pig. They're not a heritage breed, but they are a very good breed for a smaller homestead. Idaho pasture pigs were originally bred by combining the cooney, the Berkshire, and the Duroc. It still gives you all the great qualities of the cooney, which is that they're a true grazing pig. They will eat grass. They love to be out eating grass, but they also grow faster. So a mature weight on an Idaho pasture pig, or what you would consider a butcher weight, is about 250 pounds is what you're shooting for. And on a cooney, I believe it's more like 175 pounds. Now the real nice thing and benefit, I think, of the IPPs is that they reach that 250 pounds in about 9 to 10 months, where the coonies don't reach their butcher weight of 175 pounds until they're 14 to 18 months old. So the IPPs grow a lot faster. They get quite a bit bigger, but they still, when they're fully mature, like say you didn't butcher it and you just held one back for breeding, sows are going to be about 250 pounds and boars are going to be about 350 pounds. So they still stay a lot smaller than your traditional market hogs, but they grow a lot faster than the coonies. What about shade for the pigs? Well, I guess I'll answer that one too. So this is in reference to our last video where we showed you guys the area that we were going to be moving the pigs down to the farm. We're going to be building their new pig pens. And it's kind of an open area. It's part of our, what right now it's part of our hay field, and that's where we're going to be moving the pigs and building their new pig pens. So this question is, aren't we basically concerned about the fact that there's not a lot of shade there? No, we'll be providing shade for them. Every paddock in that, or every pen in that area is going to have its own shelter for the pigs. And every paddock is also going to have a wallow. We have water nearby. Last year, remember we did a big project where we ran water to different parts of the homestead. So there's a water tap right there near where the pigs are going to be, so we can fill up wallows every single day. And so, no, there isn't a lot of shade there, but I don't think it's going to be an issue. We're going to create the shade for them. Right now, where we have the pigs, there's not a lot of shade either. We give them good wallows in the summer. They do have a few trees nearby, but you guys, they're killing the trees that are in their areas now, which is why we specifically chose an area this time around without trees in them.
Do rabbits bite in any stage of their life, when they have babies or when they're hungry or in any other case? Well, we don't have any rabbits that bite because we don't keep any rabbits that show any kind of aggression towards humans or anybody, anything,
right.
Actually. So our rabbits don't bite, and I don't recommend that anybody keeps any kind of rabbit or animal on their homestead that is aggressive in any way.
Right. We don't keep aggressive animals on the homestead for any reason, and we certainly would never breed. We may keep it long enough to get it up to butcher size, but we're never going to breed an aggressive animal. That's not a trait you want to pass on. How do you keep the chickens from flying over your fence while they're in the moat area? It's a good question. To be honest, we've never had one of our chickens fly out of the moat area. We have a couple, like our little silky hens and stuff that can get through the fence, and honestly, those we just let go where they want. We only have one who gets out. But the other ones, we've purposely picked heavy-bodied breeds that don't really fly well in the first place, and none of them can make it over the fence. That fence is a little over 4 feet tall, and they just don't fly over it. So
yeah, we don't have to clip their wings or anything like that.
No,
they just don't fly over the fence.
Right. Honestly, if you had smaller bodied breeds and you wanted to keep them in, you probably could clip their wings. We've clipped wings on the turkeys and things in the past, but we've never had a problem in the moat.
How do crops grown in a greenhouse get pollinated? That is a good question, and we've had it several times. So the first answer is some of the things that we grow in our greenhouse, they don't need to be pollinated in order to produce the fruit or vegetable that we are growing. For instance, most of the root vegetables, so carrots, beets, turnips, leafy greens, lettuce, kale, they don't need pollination by bees or other bugs in order to produce their fruit. But those that do require pollination from bees, that is generally happening over the summer. And in the summer, most of the time we have the sidewalls up so that the bugs and the bees and everything can get in there.
Why use a silage tarp if you are still going to cover the garden with weed barrier? Would the weed barrier not also smother out the area as well? So this is talking about the video that we recently did where we showed you guys that where we're going to be doing our new garden down at the farm this year. We bought a huge silage tarp and we covered the entire area with this silage tarp, which is basically just a thick solid plastic tarp that we put over that whole area. And the question is, like, why did we do that? Couldn't we just put down our weed fabric, the woven ground cover, and that would kill out the weeds as well? And yes, that would kill out the weeds as well, but the main reason that we're using the silage tarp isn't necessarily to kill out the weeds. It's really to help keep that area drier until we're ready to plant. Every year here in Missouri, we get a ton of rain in April and May. Technically, we can start planting most of our summer stuff at the beginning of May, but because we get so much rain, the ground is usually way too wet to be able to plant. So we end up not being able to plant either until the end of May or sometimes even the beginning of June. So we're hoping by having the silage tarp down, which is a solid plastic, the area underneath there will stay drier and we'll be able to get in there and start working sooner. So that's the real reason.
How do you guys deal with all the ticks? Well, in Missouri, there are a lot of ticks, and ticks are just part of our everyday life in the summer when it gets warm enough. But there are a few things that we do to minimize getting ticks on us at all, and to prevent them from latching on. I think one of the first things that we do is to make sure that the areas around the house and where we're working get mowed often. We have found that if we keep the grass pretty short and don't let it get, above, ankle high, that really helps keep the ticks away from like our immediate living area. But we also generally keep like a couple sets of clothes that we spray with the Sawyer's spray.
Right.
And that helps out a ton.
Right. We use those, but usually like when we're going out into the woods for something, or like blackberry picking, or those things that we know we're going to get a lot of ticks on us.
Right.
But otherwise, it's just a way of life around here. You just have to deal with it.
Right. We definitely in the summertime do, daily tick checks. So before we get in the shower or before we change into our pajamas, we definitely check all over, make sure that we get any ticks off, because generally in order for them to transmit any kind of pathogen to you, they need to be attached to you for at least 24 hours. Now that's most of them, not all of them. So we're pretty diligent about checking ourselves every day.
Right. Will you be taking Hope's barn to the farm? So we just recently did a video. We showed you guys we were tearing out all of the T-posts back in Hope's old area. Hope was our original dairy cow that we had here at the homestead, and we put up a barn for her that we could milk her in. No, we do not plan to take that along to the farm. That is one of the things that will be staying here along with the greenhouses. So whoever buys this homestead next, that will be something that they can have here to enjoy as well.
Once you've transitioned to the farm and have sold the homestead, will you change your name to Living Traditions Farm? Well, no, we are not going to change our name. We feel that the homestead is where our home is. And once we move everything, including our family, to the farm property, that will be our new homestead. And even though we use the word homestead and farm kind of interchangeably because it's a homestead and it's our farm, and actually we've used the word farm for our homestead property too, just in our, everyday conversations. So no, we won't change our name. It will still be Living Traditions Homestead.
Right. What is the shelf life for canned meat? I don't know. I ask her.
So the general rule up until recently was about 12 months. And then the rule makers extended that to 18 months. But I've talked to a lot of women and men, I guess, who have canned over the years. And the general consensus is it's going to stay good for a long time, as long as that seal is good. As long as it's in, a moderately mild environment, it's going to be fine. The color might change, but it's not necessarily going to go bad. So in my opinion, it's good for as long as you're comfortable eating it. I generally go about 2 years before I start getting suspicious. But honestly, we can pretty much what we can eat in the course of a year or two. And so we really don't have things hanging around for longer than that. And our longer term storage things are not canned. Why would you go to the expense and work of having 2 boars when you only need 1?
That's a great question. The real reason is because we want diversity in our pigs. One of the businesses that we're developing here on the homestead is to sell registered Idaho pasture pigs. So in order to be able to offer breeding either pairs or trios, we want to be able to have 2 boars so that we can sell a boar and say 2 gilts to somebody, and then they can take those home to breed. We don't want to sell pigs that are related for that purpose, so we want to be able to breed our sows to different boars and be able to offer different genetic diversity when we sell piglets.
If we were only raising pigs for their piglets to be raised up as meat for our family or to sell, then you're right, we would only need 1 boar, but because of our business decision, we're going to have 2.
Right. It's also honestly a good idea for security reasons to have more than 1 of something, so it's never bad to have a backup. I know it's extra feed and all of that, but it's never a bad idea to have a backup. Why don't you use the old hog panels from the homestead to build the new pig pen at the farm? Well, that's exactly what we are going to do. Maybe we weren't super clear in the last video that we did. Not only do we need to buy additional hog panels, we also are going to reuse everything that's currently at the homestead. So the new area that we're building though is larger than what we can rebuild out of the ones here. And so we need to use everything we have here and we need to buy additional ones, but we are going to be reusing everything we have.
Yeah, the good news is, and like we said in the video, we have all the T-posts already here at the homestead that we need for the pig pen at the farm.
Right.
And we have 2/3, I think, of all
Right.
the hog panels already, so we only have to buy a third of them.
Right.
You know, 1/3
Yeah, we
more.
need 75 for the new project and we already have 50 hog panels
Right.
here. So yes, we only have to buy the extra ones.
Can you get some of the pigs trained to electric fence so you can move them onto fresh pasture parts of the year? Looks like they did a number on the grass in the static pens pretty quickly.
I guess I'll answer that one too. Our breeder pigs, we will not be using just electric fence for. They're all trained to electric fence. We run electric on the inside of their hog panels. When we used to raise just, when we get piglets in the spring, raise them up for meat and butcher them in the fall, we would use just electric. In my experience, now that we've been breeding pigs for a while, I don't trust just electric for breeders. When they get, hormones going and either the females are in heat or the boar, can sense a female in heat, they're just too motivated to get to each other. And I just don't trust electric in that situation. We actually had an experience with that early on when we were breeding, where one of the pigs got out. It was standing in the middle of the road. Luckily, one of our neighbors saw it on his UTV and came up to the door, and she was a friendly pig, so we were able to get her back in easily. But, that's just not a liability I want, and it's definitely not a good thing for the pigs. So, no, we will not be just using electric to get them more pasture. We're giving them very large pens in this new area, a lot larger than what they have now. Now, the second part of that question was, it looks like they already did a lot of damage to the grass in the pens that they're in. They really haven't. A couple things to keep in mind. It's winter, so there really isn't much grass growing or any grass growing right now. And we've had a ton of rain, so it's super muddy right now. But I can tell you, last summer, they were in the same pens that they're in right now. There were times I actually had to take the riding lawnmower in and mow their paddocks because they couldn't keep up with eating the grass. So, and I suspect I'll have to do the same in their new paddocks as well. So, no, they really haven't done much damage. It may look like it right now because it's muddy, but the IPPs really don't do rooting. They really don't root down and dig big holes. They kind of scuff up the surface a little bit, but I can guarantee by this summer, all that grass will be right back. What are your plans for moving to the farm? Well, there are some things we're not quite ready to talk about yet. We do have a plan for moving to the farm. We're hoping we're going to be able to share it with you guys soon, but we're not quite ready to share everything about it yet. So give us a little more time. We're working on something and we'll be able to tell you guys about it soon.
How many Tabasco plants do you plant? Well, last year I planted 3 Tabasco plants, and it was plenty enough for me to make as much Tabasco sauce as Kevin would need for at least a year, maybe more.
Probably 10 years.
The first time I planted Tabasco plants, I planted 5, and that was way too many. So they are very productive little buggers, and you don't need that many.
No. Are you going to be keeping your 2 new breeds of chickens separate to keep the heritage lines? Yes, we will. Once they get to the point where they're at egg laying age, we'll be keeping them separate. We want to breed the American breasts all by themselves, so we know if we're selling eggs or even just hatching them for ourselves, that's what they are, and we'll be keeping the black cuckoo Malines separate for that same purpose. So yes, we'll be separating and only breeding specific breeds.
Are you concerned that Charlie and the Gilts are debarking the trees in their hog pen? Now, Kevin actually touched a little bit about this. that the pigs that have trees in their pens, they've been actually rubbing on them a lot. They haven't been biting off the bark or anything, but it is injuring the trees, it is damaging them, and ultimately it could probably kill them, which is why in their new pens we won't have trees.
The final question. Ooh, it's a long one too. Oh, I know this question. Okay, this is a good one. You guys recommend incubators, heat lamps, and other electric dependent items. That's all well for now, but how about when there's no electricity? Then what? How are those now useful items going to be useful when you have no way to run them? I ask because I think of these things and wonder how people did it before electricity. That is great questions. And it's something that we personally put a lot of time and thought into. And there's kind of two sides to it. For us, being off-grid or not having electricity is not something we want to do. While there is electricity and we can have it, we want to enjoy the benefits of having it. So yes, we use things like incubators and heat lamps and all of those things that run on electricity. But we always have a backup plan, and that's kind of our motto on the homestead, is that you should always, be prepared for if the luxuries in life kind of go away. So take our incubator, for example. We have a solar system. You guys have seen it. I showed you. We run our entire shop off of solar. That solar setup can actually run the incubator no problem. Now, it won't run heat lamps. I mean, it could, but it won't run them for very long. So the real answer to that, I think, is, back in the day when people didn't have electricity, they did things in season. They didn't do things like raising chicks in the middle of winter. They waited until it was warm enough either for a hen to go broody and do it herself, or until they could, at the very least, have the chicks maybe near a wood stove, or and then move them outside as soon as they can. So we would just need to adjust how we do things. But that's a good question, and it's something that everybody needs to think of for their specific situation.
So you guys, that was all the questions, 20 questions. We hope that you enjoyed that.
We always enjoy answering those questions. Keep them coming. We do, there's a lot of questions we don't think about that you guys ask, and it's not that we don't want to answer them, but we can't possibly think of everything you guys want to know.
So if you are enjoying videos like this, make sure that you hit the subscribe button below. Also, if you have questions, put them in the comment section below for next time. We would appreciate that. And really, the best way that you can help us here on the homestead is just to share our videos on your social media. Until next time, thank you so much for stopping by our homestead. Take care and God bless.
God bless.